Here are your tools for wet sanding. Now, this is just a spray bottle with a little bit of liquid soap in it, so this is your lubricant. And this is a traditional body shop soft block. This is a urethane, and you can see that it's actually very flexible. This is way better than an old-fashioned hard rubber block. It's more compliant to the surface you're working on, and it's designed with a rolled edge, so when you put your piece of wet sandpaper on there, it just holds it really nice. 2000 grit, I suggest you don't go any more coarse than 2000 grit for just taking out clear coat scratches. Also, on traditional wet sandpaper, you need to soak it in water for at least 20 or 30 minutes, and it just makes it nice and flexible and more compliant. Now, in the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system, we kind of step things up a notch. Your system actually comes with a lubricant. It's actually a claying lubricant, and it is has more lubricating properties than just soapy water. And also, the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system comes with something that's called a safety sand. Now, this is a sponge sanding block, but where it differs is actually when you hold this thing, it's actually even more compliant than a block, like a traditional body shop block. The really cool thing about this safety sand product is the paper is 3000 grit. You cannot buy 3000 grit in a traditional paper. About the finest grit that you can find is 2000 grit. This is a 3000 grit, and it's not really even a paper. This is a reusable tool. It's actually a latex. So I want to show you this. This is why it's so amazing. It's super flexible. So the way you would use this is this just goes on like a band-aid. You peel off a little piece of paper, that one side, and you get it started. Lay it on there. You're good to go. And also, anytime you're touching your finish on your car, always use a microfiber towel. Don't use any kind of a cotton material. Microfiber is the most absorbent, but it's also the safest material that you could lay on the finish of your car. So when you're doing wet sanding and you want to clear the slurry so you can see the effects of the wet sanding, just use a microfiber towel just to clear the area. And one more thing, I've seen this all over the internet. This is a do not do. I've seen so many people just taking a piece of traditional wet sandpaper. They don't even talk about soaking it or anything, but the worst part is they show just like taking it, folding it in half, and using their fingers or folding it over like this is a professional absolute no-no. When you sand with your bare fingers, you're putting pressure points on the sandpaper. What happens is you get uneven sanding on the finish, and you actually leave marks in the clear coat from your fingers when you're sanding like this. Also, you have really sharp edges along here. This causes really deep scratches, unnecessary scratches. And this is compared to like a professional block like this. You can see you have nice rounded edges. Okay, so our wet and dry here has been soaking for about a half an hour, so it's nice and soft. And we've got our precision wet sanding block. It's just a neoprene block designed especially for doing wet sanding. And you would just wrap it like this. And we're just going to spray this area. Now, if you had a scratch there, you might kind of go a little bit like in an X pattern. And don't go too much more than about 5 seconds. You can count to yourself 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. Just take a microfiber towel and just wipe it. And then you would just inspect once it's burnished. If you still had a scratch or a defect there, it would show itself by being clear. And so you would have this burnished or dull area, and there still might be a faint outline, and so you would just go a little bit more. I would suggest not going too much more than about maybe 15 seconds with a 2000 grit traditional sandpaper like this. Okay, so now we have two options here. We're going to use a safety sand. So this is a safety sand sponge that comes with the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system. And it's got the 3000 grit latex wet and dry sandpaper on it. So what we could do, this thing is a sponge, so it's awesome. You can actually dunk it in your water here. And you can let it drip on the surface a little bit, so you don't even need your spray bottle. You could flood the area. Now there's another method that I like to use. Now the Purple Glide that comes with the Ultimate Car Scratch Remover system is a lubricant, and it's designed for claying, or you can also use it to do wet sanding with the safety sand wet sanding sponge. So it's awesome. So you don't even need a bucket of water. You could actually just spray it on the surface, spray a little bit on the wet sandpaper, and do the same thing. It's a little bit more precision because you can really see what you're doing a little bit better, less water. And same thing, you would go for count to 5 by 1000s and then check your work.